Do like, welcome to the podcast. I don't know, man. It's welcome to episode 2.
Is it really only episode 2?
I think. I see. We might have had a second episode. Because sometimes I see like episode 1 and 2. This might be episode 3, but our return episode after it's been what, 3-4 years?
Give or take, yeah. Because right now,
happy 420, by the way.
Oh yeah, happy 420. Yeah, I mean, it's weird that we're doing episode 3, technically episode 3, but like if we could just redux it to 1, I guess, if we really want to.
We really could.
It's really weird that we're doing it of all times on 420. Like that was a total coincidence. That's wild.
Yeah, I woke up this morning and my wife was like, "Happy 420." I'm like, "Oh shit."
I completely forgot. I haven't been able to do much in terms of like marijuana since the whole situation with like the job hunt right now.
For sure.
Because every single place has been so wildly different where they're either like pee in the cup, sir, or they're immediately saying like, well, you know, we can
get my finger in your mouth, swab it around.
Yeah. They're like, here's the cup where you can pee in, or after not peeing in it, you know, or you can do the mouth swab, which I don't know. The mouth swab almost feels kind of more uncomfortable.
They gotta get really into the gums.
Well, just mostly they make you do it where you have to. They put it under your tongue, right? Mm-hmm. So when you're done, like basically the whole rule is now, because like back when I was doing it, it wasn't like this before. It was just, oh yeah, you'd get the thing under your tongue and then you'd be good to go and whatever. Mm-hmm. And they'd be like, oh well, it's been about like 5 minutes, you're good to go, and then they wouldn't say anything. But now that I've done it recently with some other places that are kind of like, yeah, we'd like to hire you or we'd like to talk about it. They do like a preliminary drug test and everything like that. The amount of places that for whatever reason have this new cup where it's the whole system of the drug test for the mouth, but every time now it's like, oh, the same one of just, yep, it'll leak blue when you're done.
Right.
And I'm like, what? It does what? And they're like, yeah, it leaks blue when you're done.
I gotta be honest, this last job that I got swabbed for was my first time getting like a mouth swab test. So that was a new experience for me.
Really? The last time I had anything different than that was me going to the hospital job. Mm-hmm. And for whatever reason, they make you do both. They made you pee in the cup and you had to, you know, get the mouth swab. So it's like, it didn't make sense to me, you know, because they make you do the whole thing, but it's like the mouth swab only detects like 24 to 48 hours. But if you do the urine cup, it's like that could go from.
It gets like wildly inaccurate because it can test like up to 2 months ago, right?
It depends. So if you were a consistent drug user, up to 2 months ago.
Gotcha.
So like if you were like, yeah, I smoked some of that fucking electric cabbage, that devil's lettuce, that Oogie Boogie Kush, you know?
New Pokemon Zaza.
Yeah, a little bit of that Zaza. Yeah, you know, there would be a bit of a time scale difference. It could depend. It just depended on what like kind of person you were.
Yeah.
But
now I haven't done this for legal reasons, but I've heard that for mouth swab
for legal reasons, I must discern that I have not done this project or not done this.
That I'm not a chronic smoker for legal reasons, but I've heard that like brushing your teeth twice in the morning and then swabbing with what was it? Hydrogen peroxide and mouthwash, and then after that eating pizza and then going in. Because it's all the fattiness that's left over on your teeth and your gums. Yeah, all the grease will absorb whatever remains. And I heard some people got away with it.
That's not the only thing I've heard. I've heard people have done mouthwash. I've heard people have done like all sorts of crazy things to be flushing out their system. I think the old one was with a urine sample. People used to get like diuretics, so things that would make you like urinate a lot, you know?
Yeah. There's like actual kits that they sell for passing drug tests with your urine.
Yeah,
like, do that sort of shit.
It's weird. I've never once needed it for obvious reasons because I'm not a fucking addict. But the amount of people that I've heard were like, oh yeah, no, you could get like, you go to the store and you get this and you buy this and you do that and so on and so forth. Like they did like a whole bunch of stuff. One guy I knew was doing he smoked a lot of pot. Like a lot of pot when he was when we were like in college, but he was going to get a drug test at some legal firm, and he's like, oh, I really can't afford to fuck this up. So he ate like 4 poppy seed muffins the morning of.
Oh shit.
So it would throw off the scale of the test or something like that. And they're like, yeah, we found a large amount of like this in your system. And he's like, oh, I did eat a lot of poppy seeds that morning. And they're like, oh, do you normally eat poppy seeds? And he goes, well, I eat the muffins, and then I have a poppy seed like protein bar that I make and all this stuff. And he kind of went over this huge laundry list of just, this is what I do. This is what I have. And they were like, oh, well, since you eat so much of it, I mean, that is a bit of a concern, but we'll have to see about what we can do with it. Because they're like, well, yeah, they literally were like, well, we don't know what to do now because we can't rightfully like easily drug test you. So now we have to wait until you clear your system, and effectively gave himself a small temporary out of just them going, look, just don't eat the poppy seeds for a while. We're going to need you to like take another drug test in a month. So he just stopped smoking pot for like a month. And the worst part was, too, he came back to our apartment and he goes, dude, I got to let you know something. I was like, did you not get the job? He goes, no, I got the job. Like, they didn't fire me yet, but it's been a month and a half and they still haven't taken me even for the drug test. And then when he finally asked his boss, like, yeah, are you going to take me in for the drug test? And his boss just was, I don't really give a shit. You're not showing up stoned out of your mind. You're not doing anything crazy. Who cares? Who fucking gives a shit? Just honestly, just hop in, man.
Who fucking cares?
Sorry, I was drinking water.
No.
We were yapping so much.
Absolutely. No, I absolutely agree that the market, the scale of professionalism that's across the job market right now is so unnecessarily archaic. I mean, honestly, people are doing more harm than good with like alcohol in their systems, and they're not testing for alcohol blood levels or getting jobs.
Actually,
or do they?
Funny enough, actually, if you take the oral swab tests now, they can track alcohol usage.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, up to 24 hours of tracking for alcohol usage.
Shit, that's new info to me.
It was new to me as well. I looked into it and I was like, oh, what can they check? Because I was like, we got like these, because I got smurfed. I had the blue dye that came out of it, but it's like a straw, so it kind of leaks out. And I wasn't paying attention, and it leaked onto my white shirt that I was there with my interview. And my interviewer was like, oh, I didn't know it did that. And I'm like, I didn't know it did that either. And she goes, this must be brand new. I didn't know about this. So we were kind of like, we were looking into what these tests did because she and I were just chilling. And I was like, oh, well, okay, 24 to 48 hours. I get that. And then we got to the alcohol section. It's like, yeah, most of these tests can check for alcohol up to 24 hours in advance, but only if you drink in a certain excess.
Interesting.
Like if you were to drink a little bit of wine, like just like a glass or like half a cup or something like that, like nothing major, right? Not a problem. But if you drank like a whole bottle by yourself or like you drank like whiskey or did something else, it will more than likely pop up on the test. And I was like, wait a minute. So now you could check for alcoholics too? That's wild. That's wild. Okay. Wow. That's news to me. Yeah. It was brand new information. I'd never heard of that before.
Okay. That's pretty cool. I like that. That's a thing now.
It was news to me though. But I mean,
just circling back the whole professionalism about the workplace. Most people don't give a shit. Exactly. Like, as long as people are showing up to do their job and the job gets done, they don't care what they do when they go home. People smoke, they drink, they do all sorts of drugs, but then they show up sober and they get the job done. Who cares?
When's you know what? Speaking of which, when's Nintendo gonna let my my little fucking character in Tamagotchi Life smoke a fucking joint? Nintendo should let my little Tamagotchi character fucking smoke a fat spleef and then get hammered off 5 shots of vodka.
I would pay to see that if I could pay for a Nintendo game.
Considering that now we're going to be paying for like a car payment for a Nintendo Switch package.
That's literally a car payment, dude. Like the fucking prices on these games these days. Like I kind of get it because Nintendo isn't really competing with Sony and Xbox anymore. Let's be real. They're competing with Netflix. They're competing with Roblox. They're competing for the home family entertainment. And for families, like,
I mean, their market's always been towards like kids, kids and like maybe teenagers. Maybe you'll get lucky and you'll get the occasional college kid. And they started marketing that towards like the 3DS era, I think, a lot. But like, I don't know, man. Like the Switch, like original price tag, I remember, wasn't so bad.
Yeah, no.
Because the Switch's original price was like $300.
Yeah, I remember like $350 or like $400 if you got like a package deal.
I think it was like $300 for like the one that had the gray controllers and $350 if you got the one with the red and blue controllers, I think.
Yeah.
But like
I seem to remember
now
that.
it's what, $450? It's a $450. It's like that's a steep
for the Switch.
That's a steep curve. Like if you said 400, I think a lot of people would have been like, well, I mean, it's a bit up there, but it's not as bad as it could be, right? But now it's just like, no, 450.
It feels like it's so late to the game with the stuff that it's promising. Like it's promising 1080 graphics when, I don't know, the PS4, I feel like you could upscale it if you had the right TV to almost 4K, and that came out.
Yeah, and some TVs now just have native AI upscaling in them, so it's like
10, 15 years.
Take that with how you will. Yeah. So I don't know. I think paying $450 for a console with a year to 2 year old hardware is just kind of a lot. But on top of that, like we said, like this was kind of the family home console. I think a lot of parents are going to look at it and just be like, dude, Nintendo was supposed to be the more affordable option of like Xbox and PlayStation and stuff like that. It was supposed to be, oh, well, yeah, I'll get Timmy his little $100-$200 console. Oh, the Switch is an at-home thing and mobile. Well, I mean, it'll be great to have at home and then maybe on the car rides. Okay, $300. We're kind of combining things here. That's not as bad. That's okay. But now you're saying like, oh, well, it's $450 and you're really only going to get the whole like performance package, like, because you're going to have it in the dock at home for that extra cooling feature, which I'm surprised they didn't do that with the OLED. Just saying that I feel like they should have started that with the OLED. It would not have been a huge deal. I think it probably would have bumped people up. Yeah, they didn't do it with the OLED.
Shit. I remember our pal got the OLED and I thought it was a huge deal, but it was only really like a bigger screen and that was it.
It was a clearer screen. I think they gave it an upgraded screen. But the funny thing is, I think a lot of modders were already working on that. So it was kind of like, all right, I mean, the modders beat you to it. And I feel bad for saying, sorry, bro, you're late to the game, but like you're kind of late to the game.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I think that they are kind of losing that market of like accessibility for a lot of people.
That I think is their biggest problem right now. I mean, not even mentioning the tariffs, like trying to skyrocket this like up to $600 price tags in America. But
well, I mean, thank goodness they backed off on that.
Good.
They backed off. They were originally going to go for like 600, 650, something like that, which is what I was estimating as well, based on like what we were looking at. But no, they're sticking at 450, which I think if they had gone higher, I think they looked at it and just said, you know what, we'll have to take the loss on the Americans, because people around the country would just be like, oh, well, I'm just going to go to Canada.
Yeah.
Like I'd be like, oh, I'm going to go buy my console at Canada. And then if you had people in Canada, you're going to have them go, oh, well, I'm just going to buy these consoles in Canada, go to America and sell them for like, oh, well, the Americans are going to pay $650. Oh, well, I'll go to Canada, buy them for $450, come back down, sell them for $550, make $100 profit.
Yeah, it would be that easy.
Easily.
People do it all the time. That's been, I don't know if you're much attached to the trading card scene, but like Pokemon is going down the tubes right now. Because of these bad scalpings at Costco, the early release drops, like they're unable to sell the cards to the wide public now because the scalping gets sold to scalpers, and then the scalpers take the nice cards, resell those at trading card game shops. Yeah, and then they sell reseals as well and be like, oh, I got this fresh package. But no, you just took the nicest cards and then you sold the highest values for a profit at trading card game shops, and then they turn around and make a profit. And
I mean, here's the thing too. Here's the thing too. Have you seen that people have been getting caught? Like there's been people who are employees of both the TCG vending machine employees.
Really?
Have been caught, and some people working at the grocery stores that they have them at. Like sometimes grocery stores, sometimes like, you know, anywhere where they might have them. I think they have them at like Walmart. I think some Best Buys, like very rare. And then Ralph's and Fred Meyer, they have them.
But, oh yeah, they're terrible at Ralph's.
Yeah,
Fred Meyer's.
Fred Meyer, yeah. But the Kroger company.
Yeah, the Kroger company.
But they've been caught like loading up the vending machines and then sitting there and not allowing people to buy anything, being like, oh, I'm still working on it. Sorry, it's going to be a minute. And then they just sit there and swipe their own card and buy all the packs they want.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wild.
And I think, yeah. And they were just buying it. There were some video recordings of people getting caught and shit like that. And it's like,
how much you want to bet they're taking tiny scales with them to weigh for holographic decks? Or the holographic card packs.
Yeah. Yeah. I know that there's people who use scales.
Yeah.
And there's some people that use like a detector, like a metal detector that checks for a certain type of metal in foil. In the foil. So they can go like, oh, I'll just... Oh, yeah. No, that came as a positive read. Okay.
Yep. Well, and those are the hyper rare cards now. They use 4 different textures of foil on those cards. These sheets of them... Like, there was a scandal that happened about a year ago where at the Pokemon printing, like where they print the cards out, these sheets come in like 5 by 7 foot sheets.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they're huge. Somebody made off with a pallet. An employee made off with a pallet of cut hyper cards. It was estimated to be like $60,000.
I heard about that, yeah.
And that was like real value that was going out into the
heist.
world. Yeah, it was
like a whole
straight up
fucking
a heist.
Yeah.
Straight up a heist. It was because it was an employee of the Pokemon trading card game company. Like that was like a career-ending move.
Yeah, like he will never be hired again. First and foremost, that's an obvious thing. But not only will he never be hired again, but he's probably gonna get sued.
Oh yeah. He's going to get sued. They're going to come for him, then his family and his children. And I mean, just fucking Pokemon. Let's be real.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Nintendo's lawyers have never taken something looking in the face. They've always
Cease and desist.
wanted to fight.
Yeah.
They've always fought. Yeah. And it's,
and
I
they
don't
can
blame
because
them.
they're confident they're that powerful.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at the same time too, it's like when you're a company that's been around since like
150, 200 years now.
Yeah, it's I think, what was it? Pokemon has been around for like, because Pokemon original start was a trading card company. And that trading card company has been around for like years. They were their own like production company. I think they ended up like, I think the publishing is now with Wizards of the Coast technically.
Yeah, Wizards of the Coast took over the American printing.
Yeah, and then with the original, I mean, the origin of Pokemon started with like its own small, it was like a regular card game company in Japan before it became like Pokemon, before they started taking over it. But or rather when the son inherited the company, I think is what it was. It's there's a lot of history behind it, which is great, but it's at the same time, when your company's been around for so fucking long, I can understand being so guarded and so insanely oversecure with it, because I wouldn't want anyone to touch my shit either.
Yeah, I think I looked this up recently. Like, Microsoft's only been around since like the 70s. Sony's been around since I think the 50s or the 40s, but Nintendo has been around since the 1800s. Like they used to sell Hanafuda cards.
That's it, Hanafuda cards. Yeah,
back in Japan, and that was like 1860s, 1870s, something like that, I think. Yeah, they're just they've been around for a long time, so they know how to run a business.
Yeah, no, they have been around for ages.
I don't know,
like
any company
genuinely ages.
Any other company that's been around that long. Disney hasn't been around that long.
Well, I mean, that's how it is in other countries, though. America's incredibly late to the game, and that's just circumstantial.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like
We didn't
there's
really have
some places
anything.
you can go to in Europe where it's like there's a restaurant or like a printing company or like anything like that, and they could say, "Oh yeah, we've been in business since like the 16 or 1700s," and you're like,
Yeah.
"What?"
That's
Like you
fair.
got to remember, like these are like family businesses that people are like, "Yeah, I know, I've my family's owned this company for 300, 400 years," and you're like, "That is a long time. That is a long time," and they're saying like that's just records. Like that's just what they have in their records, not even considering the fact that it could have been way, way longer.
That's wild.
Blows my mind every time because you're just like, damn, we really ain't got nothing. But like with how Nintendo's going, I mean, look, all I know is people already struggled trying to make emulators for a lot of the games that Nintendo has, and I'm not going to sit here and pretend like people aren't trying to desperately, acquire all the information we can to, make emulators and ROMs. And obviously I really only like to support emulators and ROMs when it comes to games that are no longer buyable. You can't buy it. You can't access it. There's no public record. There's nothing, That's the only time I'm more like, emulators and ROMs. I get it. I'm okay with it. That's fine at that point. But if you're getting a ROM to actively disrupt a game in terms of the ability for it to be sold, like if you're just like, hey, yeah, I made the game available online, it's free. You can just go play it on here, download it from my website. I'm not going to take any money from it, or maybe they do. I know that Nintendo really goes sue happy if you start taking money. That's how most Pokemon fan games get killed, is the moment they ask for money, it goes down to a legal route, which fucking blows. But the moment that you get into that sort of side, it's like, dude, you really have to weigh your options when it comes to Nintendo, because if you're interrupting their sales and you're getting an emulator out right away, you may be in some serious hot shit. Like there may be some genuine problems. But now we're at a stage where it's like it's $450 for the Switch 2, it's like $500 for the Switch 2 and Mario Kart World bundle, which is like probably the only deal you can get, because otherwise it's $80 for Mario Kart World. And if you're buying that afterwards on the Nintendo Switch 2, it's like, well, you're paying $520. And not including taxes, you're paying $520.
That's not including if you want everybody in the room to play. That's an extra like $100 per controller pair. And I get that it's like 2 controllers, so you're kind of getting a discount, but you still got to drop 95 bones either way. Like
it's like, I think for a pro controller, it's like 85 right now.
Yeah,
it's like 85. It's still like that $85. That's as much as most like insane custom controllers that other companies have.
Yeah. And now that
it's like, oh, you want a cool custom Xbox controller? Oh yeah, like $85. And you're like, what? What's the point, man?
Yeah, I remember all those crazy custom skins that it's just different.
I just make my own,
guys. Yeah, that's I always loved supporting like my friends that would like replace the buttons with bullet shell casings and like spray paint them, put in their own LEDs. That shit was always fun.
Yeah, like I got my PlayStation controller is around here somewhere. I think it's hidden around somewhere in my fucking workshop, but there's it's so nice because it's like that semi-translucent blue, like that kind of opaque soft blue casing that I had to get. It's got the bullet shell casings because I was really getting into Red Dead at the time, which still fucking love Red Dead 2, obviously.
I gotta get back to it.
It's good. It's really good. It's beautifully sad. I know a lot of people when the game first got announced, people were pissed. People were so pissed because they were like, this isn't John Marston. Who the fuck is Arthur fucking Morgan? This guy sucks. He's a lame ass. And like they didn't like sell nearly as many as the cool pre-order figures, which now if I had gotten the chance to really look at Red Dead beforehand, I would have fucking bought that in an instant, but now you can't.
Yeah,
now it's like,
Yeah, I feel like that this new crowd that's coming in kind of late to the game, they're like, fucking whatever the main guy's name is, Marshall.
For who?
Red Dead 2. Who's the main character?
Oh, Arthur Morgan is the main character of Red Dead 2.
Like people that are coming in with Red Dead 2 and like, Arthur Morgan, he's the main character of this whole story. Then they explore Red Dead 1. It's like the new generation I feel like has more appreciation for Red Dead 2 in a way.
Yeah,
It's
well, I mean,
getting, like,
Red
a
Dead's
strange revival.
Red Dead's a fucking old series.
Mm-hmm.
But like,
Yeah, they don't make stuff for it anymore like they do with GTA 5.
no, well, because I think that the original Red Dead was on PlayStation 2.
That sounds familiar, and the graphics definitely.
Because that was Red Dead Revolver.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, because you had Red Dead Revolver for, I want to say, that was like 2005, I think, maybe 2006
And then
or
it was
even
like
earlier.
2010s that Red Dead Redemption came out, right?
Yeah, 2010 was Red Dead Redemption, and that's when everyone got to play as John Marston. And then they had Red Dead Redemption Undead Nightmare, which was basically the same game, but it was like a whole zombie storyline, because that's when like everyone was like, oh, the nerds crave zombies. And it's like, well, yeah, no shit. We had Left 4 Dead.
Yeah. World of War.
Yeah. I think Left 4 Dead kind of walked so a lot of other companies could run with the zombie concept. But I mean, like, a lot of them came, I think it was like Red Dead, Undead Nightmare, and then Borderlands 2 both had, or was it Borderlands 1?
I remember Borderlands 2 dropping in high school.
Okay, it might have been Borderlands 2 then.
2010.
Yeah, because Borderlands 2 had their undead, like nightmare, Halloween-ish zombie fiasco, which was crazy. It was a very different expansion. It was supposed to be like way later in the game, but
and then The Walking Dead, that was huge on TV.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, yeah, it
zombies were
started
just
off right
across
around
media.
there. Yeah, zombies was kind of coming out as like this. It kind of hit a renaissance because we started originally with like a lot of the old school zombie movies, and then it kind of came back and everyone's like, oh yeah, fucking zombies are cool again. Yeah, let's do that. And they just ran with it. But I mean, before Red Dead Redemption was Red Dead Revolver, and then, you know, Red Dead Revolver that was an entirely different character. That was a whole different guy. So when it came down to going from Red Dead Revolver, people already saw that character's story end, because, you know, you get to see your family murdered in that one when you're just like a little boy. Gotcha. And then you go back and you finally find out, you get to like meet and deal with everyone that fucked you over, kill him, I think literally on the same farmland where your family was killed.
Damn.
And then from there you go to Red Dead Redemption, which is meeting John Marston. And then Red Dead Redemption 1 ends with, which by the way, spoilers, if you haven't fucking played the games, I'm sorry, it's been out for like 15 years. I'm sorry. But that game ends with John Marston getting lit the hell up by the US military, and he gets killed. And then the end of the game, which is the ending prologue, is you playing as John Marston's son. Oh. And you get to kind of experience and talk to everyone about what happened. And they talk about John Marston and talk about Dutch and everything like that. Because in Red Dead 1, Dutch is just fully off the wagon. But Red Dead 2 takes place before John really becomes his own character. And I'm not going to spoil that, because while Red Dead Redemption 2 is like a 7-year-old game at this point, I know that some people still are coming to terms with going like, oh wait, Red Dead 2 is actually good. Holy shit.
Right.
but Red Dead 2 has a different story feel to me. It's a beautiful sadness for that game. Yeah. Beautiful game. But you know, I can't wait for them to do the third one. I think they've been talking about it for a while, and I'm hoping we get to hear more about that, because I want that game right fucking now, and I have to wait. So cool. Yeah, but you know, it's whatever. We have to wait. I'm kind of expecting it at this point, but I mean,
I used to spend all my time in the online mode just playing blackjack. Like that's all I would do.
I would get a rolling block rifle, I think, with a scope attachment, and I would just sit on a mountain in a bush, and I'd kill people as they pass by. People got so mad at me all the time. I eventually ended up forming like a small gang of snipers, and we would just ruin people's days for fun. It was awful. I mean, we were horrible. Yeah. We were really horrible, because all we did was drink and smoke. Yeah, all we did was drink and smoke and shoot people. We were as cowboy as you can get, but like, I was like, I mean, whatever.
Yeah. I feel like that's the great part about that game, though, is that you try to be good and then you discover those assholes and then you're driven to the point where you seek revenge and you're like, oh, fuck, I'm going to be the asshole. Fuck everything. And then you get that taste for it. And you're like,
that was 90% of the reason why I went with a sniper, is because it started off with somebody who was a total fucking asshole. He was going into town killing newbies and we just remembered his name, and we would hunt him down. And we would wait for him to go through certain areas that we know he'd go through, and we just kill him. I think we eventually ended up making it so that way he like genuinely stopped playing Red Dead. I think we actually bullied him so hard for being a dick that he no longer played Red Dead.
That's karma. What goes around comes around.
Yeah, we followed his account and we're like, oh, look at that. You stopped playing, huh? That's cool. Good.
Thought you were hot shit, but you don't know half the game, bro.
Yeah. That's part of the best part, is just sitting there and then someone just trying to be a dick to you, and you're like, well, you know what? I'll remember your name. Mm-hmm. They're like, what do you mean you don't remember my name?
You don't know who's on the other side of that, on that controller.
Exactly. You don't know how fucking how venomous someone will be. How
salty some people can get.
Oh yeah, I stay spiteful.
Yes.
I stay angry. It's a whole deal. But you know what? Fuck you. You found out.
Oh man, speaking of salty, a lot of people are really, really upset. I guess not salty, but just like, it's been an emotional couple days in the VTuber community with
it's about Gargura.
Yeah, the retirement. I came out of nowhere. She's like, I mean, HoloLive's like top VTuber, right?
One of them, yeah. She's really well known. I don't think HoloLive is in any sort of semblance of like falling apart, because HoloLive has a lot of great talent.
Yeah, no, HoloLive is gonna stay, but like, it shocked a lot of people, especially her message about like disagreeing with management.
Yeah, and I mean, I've heard people say that like that whole conversation was her saying like, I've heard some people say, oh, well, management lets you say that when you want like an out, you know, but I don't know, the way she was reacting. I watched the video just to kind of see what was going on, just to be like, oh, is she doing okay? And she was like practically in tears the whole time. And I don't know if that was because she's like, oh, well, it's because I'm leaving and it's like a chapter being closed or whatnot. But you couldn't help but feel bad about the situation.
For real, it did not seem like amicable parting. It seemed like filled with a lot of tough choices.
I think personally, I believe, because I know that Amelia Watson, she left beforehand, which I'm not a huge VTuber guy. I really am not. I watch
I'm a VTuber and I don't know VTuber stuff.
Yeah. I mean, like I watch like maybe 3 or 4 VTubers, and that's it. Out of like the 20 people that I watch or consume content of, if you really want to consider like VTubers across YouTube and Twitch, I think it's like I watch 4 VTubers and maybe closer around like 40 different content creators. I'm not watching everyone every fucking day. I got a life, dude. But
yeah, for real.
But
I get you.
The people that I would watch were like Gargura when I was working my job at the hospitals. Occasionally I'll pop in and see like something from like Bales, but that's just when she was ever live. The other one being Fume, which, I watch Fume stuff quite frequently whenever they stream, but they have a different time zone, so it's kind of difficult.
Right.
And I think Project Melody, because she's a goblin, and I love people that have that goblin mentality. It's my favorite fucking thing in the world, which is partially why I love, Gura, because she was just a deranged lunatic half the time, which is great.
Yeah, I definitely saw the appeal. I didn't know that Project Melody was actually a VTuber until much later. I actually heard her music first, quite a while back, and that's how I knew her. So that was a surprise to me, discovering that she was a VTuber as well. I thought it was just an artist.
I originally heard about Melody because of the Gooner shit that happened. Oh? Because she started off with her like adult content creation, as far as I know. Oh. Well, I think that's what apparently projected her into popularity, like a huge amount of it, like really equated to that. But the only reason why I even knew her name was because a friend of mine who did adult content creation at the time, while she was attending college, she messaged me and was like, hey, have you heard about this? There's this anime girl online on this adult website. And I was like, no, I didn't know anybody could do that. And she goes, yeah, it's like a VTubing thing, apparently. I looked into it. It's super new. And this is back when it was very much new. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. Sure, whatever. And she looks at it and she's talking about it. And she goes, yeah, dude, I'm not going to lie to you. People are pissed. And I was like, why are they pissed? And they go, oh, well, because she started streaming on this adult website. And people were pissed because she made a fuck ton of money. She had a fuck ton of viewers, and she apparently made a bunch of these content creators, these adult content creators, uncomfortable because she was using a model, not her own body, and they felt that was cheating. They felt that it was cheating. They're like, oh, we don't know what she really looks like, and we don't know this, and we don't know that. And
who said that was in the rules?
Yeah, no one said that was in the rules. Even the websites had to come back and be like, it literally does not matter. They're like, we literally do not care. But some of the content creators, they were weird. I think I remember seeing one that blew up on Twitter and everyone laughed at them. And it was, well, how do we know that the anime model consents? And we're like,
there's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah. You're like, what? Okay, first of all, what the fuck does that mean? What does that mean, dog? Secondly, like,
relax, son. It's just a drawing.
Yeah. It's like, I'm sorry, an art concept, I don't really think can have that level of conversation. The person who controls it, they can have that conversation with you.
What was happening? Yeah.
No, they just didn't. They didn't understand it all. But I mean, I think that it was just people grasping at straws. You know, they were probably just being like, oh, well, you know, my livelihood's being threatened. And it's like, well, I don't really think that's the case at all, dude. I think that there's a new competition and you're scared. And I think you just don't know what to do. But that's how I first heard about her. And I was like, whatever. I don't really consume adult content creation like that, so I'm not really going to give a shit, you know. But then, you know, time moved forward and I was hearing from friends, they're like, oh yeah, no, she streams now, dude. She streams. And I was like, what? She does? Went on there and the first thing that they were just talking about was like, it's a totally different atmosphere. There was nothing really, you know, sexual or, you know, anything like that in that content side, but it was just a very casual conversation, very funny, very silly, very gremlin, and that's exactly what I prefer, is gremlin activity. It's my favorite.
That's great.
So I was like, yeah, this person's perfect. They're separating two sides of their media. This is fine. Most people struggle to do that. So this is great for you. But you know, when it comes down to like, I think with Melody, they're given like their organization, I think, is a lot more lax with what they're allowed to do. I think they're allowed to kind of be like, oh, well, you can kind of collaborate with whoever you want as long as the other agency or independent VTuber agrees. HoloLive is not that. They're very much like, hey, you have to fit within a metric. You can't really break out of the box. You can't do this. Yeah, like it's either in network or it's like a organization to organization thing, which I don't really know if a lot of organizations have done that.
I can't imagine.
Again, I can't imagine. No, it's idle companies against idle companies, you know, just not going to work out. But the one thing that's kind of wild is that we're looking at Gura as an example now. And as far as I know, she was originally Senzawa, which is another VTuber who, after talking to some other VTubers, I knew Senzawa from the OK Boomer song and did not realize that was her at first. And I had no idea because it popped up on Twitter mostly. And I was like, what the fuck? That was her? And they're like, yeah, that was her, dog.
I remember that song.
Yeah. A lot of people heard it, but just didn't know who it was from. And I was like, that's great. That's awesome. Love that. News to me. But as we were talking a bit more, I discussed with a few friends and they're like, oh yeah, no, dude, she did a bunch of stuff. And one of my other friends who's a VTuber who's very in the corporate sphere was telling me all about how Senzawa used to stream and how their streams used to be. If Gura is, you know, if Senzawa and Gura are related, I'm just gonna say that much. If they're related, the those streams are going to get fucking wild. Absolutely wild. But I'm also just happy because it means that Gura can now hang out and stream with Doobie 3D.
Doobie 3D.
Yeah, Doobie 3D, which I think that's their name is Doobie 3D.
Is that like the green VTuber?
No, sorry, Doobie 3D. She is a Jerboa VTuber who is also a train conductor. And as far as I've been told, that was Amelia Watson, the detective VTuber that was part of Hololive at first.
Oh, okay.
And then when she retired, she went on to say, oh, well, I'm going to go do my own thing. And now she is her own independent VTuber, and she's doing fairly well for herself. She's got like 200K plus followers on Twitter. She's doing really well. You know, she's still followed by a bunch of other streamers. But it's one of those things where like they can't outright say like, oh, I'm this person because of NDAs and contracts.
Yeah.
But people are like, oh, well, we understand. Same person. Yeah. So we were like, people are like, oh, well, since Amelia is no longer part of Hololive and is, you know, kind of able to do her own thing, that means that Gura and her can now have collab streams again, which they were really good friends, it seemed like. So I'm sure they'll be happy to have that, you know. Mm-hmm. But that's like the one major thing where I've heard people talk about being corporate VTubers, and I'm like, dude, I can't imagine being so subjected. Yeah. It just feels so fucking awful to have to sit there and be like, yeah, sorry, your friend quit the organization. Yeah, sorry, boss, you are not allowed to be a part of that anymore. You have to completely ignore them now. You can't be a part of their streams. You can't be a part of their collaboration events. You can't do shit. You're out. You're done. Like, you are not involved anymore, which totally sucks. Like, why would I bother doing that? Why would I bother being a part of an organization where if I just feel that I am not allowed to enjoy myself or enjoy my friends or, you know, enjoy my own independence, it feels like you are having a lot of independence stripped away. Mm-hmm. And I get it. You know, it's an organization that provides money. Like, I get it, you know, you've stability, but
yeah, people have different priorities. Some people might be going into that with not a whole lot to lose, or maybe they're coming in with not very many friends and it's a way for them to build a community.
Kind of network.
But yeah, I can see that definitely, but I don't know, just you can hear pain in people's voices. Even when people are lying, you can tell that shit's fake.
100%.
Yeah, nah, that sounded like serious burnout, just as an observer of that like minute and a half video that I saw. That sounded like somebody who's been tired for a while. As an artist who's been tired for a while, that sounded like serious burnout. Yeah.
I mean, like, my streams, and I'm sure other viewers can 100% agree. Mm-hmm. My streams are 100% chaotic and unfiltered. Like, I sit there and make wild jokes. Like, I've had other streamers be like, hey, yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you, man, that's funny, but can't really be making that joke about Minecrafters right now, man. I'm sorry. Like, I get it, you want to make fun of Minecrafters and how they're fucking awful in certain ways, but I'm just letting you know, man, we can't, like, that's violating a certain level of PG that I bring to the table. And I'm like, look, I get it, totally understand, but fuck them. But like, I try to tune it down. I'm like, yeah, you know what? I'm not going to be disrespectful to you. Mm. I've been told that apparently at certain times I have been a brand risk. They're like, yeah, you're a bit of a brand risk. I'm not going to lie. I'm like,
shit, no way.
I'm like, dude, no one even knows who the fuck I am. How am I a brand risk? And they're like, well, that's the thing. If they find out who you are and look back,
oh shit,
I could get in trouble. And I'm like, you think they're really going to look back and get you in trouble for shit that I'm saying? Okay, sure.
I know.
Sure.
Sometimes we feel like guppies in an ocean. It's like, they're not going to give a shit.
Yeah. I mean, like, I don't know. I've been involved with fucking so many companies that I'm just surprised, especially with voice acting now. I'm just kind of like, yeah, I really hope none of y'all fucking find the stupid shit that I say online and go, wow, you are 100% a risk. We can't hire you ever because you say heinous stuff.
Mm-hmm. No, that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, what's his face? Octopimp. He was being denied a lot of voice acting opportunities for that reason alone.
Yeah, I know there was a big controversy about him for a while. I only remember him from his voice acting like lessons back in the day when he was like, "This is how you can sound like Beast Boy or Homestuck or whatever." And
it was mostly because he was a streamer, and streamers were known to say crazy shit. So they're like, "Oh, well, if you're saying crazy shit, can't really have that here."
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, it was unfortunate, but I mean, for voiceover work though, I mean, it's all different. It's all very different. But I mean, like, speaking of, doing the whole like getting around in terms of like things we can't talk too much about. I'm very excited for Subnautica 2. Like,
I am so terrified, but excited too.
I love Subnautica. I have been involved with Subnautica for quite a while. Like, when I first played Subnautica, it was the early access version of the first game, and I had to wait for every single release, and I was doing bug reports, and I never really gave that much of a shit ever. I was never like, oh yeah, I gotta tell them that, this is broken, or I'm like, whatever. Most of the time I was like, someone else will find it and someone else will report it. And 75% of the time I'm wrong. No one reported it. Sometimes, like, there's bugs that are in certain games that I know about that still have not been fixed because no one else has been able to replicate it. But with Subnautica, like, I was so involved that they gave me early access to certain parts of, like, Subnautica Below Zero and shit.
Really? That's rad.
Yeah, and the first thing I did was I played the intro, and the very first thing I said in the email back was, "Hey man, found a few bugs. Also, intro kind of sucks dick."
They respond.
Yeah, they were like, "Well, hold on. What do you mean? Break down. What do you mean it kind of sucks?" And I had to go through all this. And I'm like, once again, for the Subnautica for the Unknown World devs, I'm so sorry. I love you guys. You could do great games. However, Subnautica Below Zero, really trash opening in my opinion at the very beginning there. I'm glad it got reworked. I'm really grateful it did.
Oh, it did get reworked.
It got reworked, yeah, because I had mentioned a few things. And I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, man. It's not very engaging. It's not very engaging. I don't feel like I'm enjoying this experience at all. And they're like, oh, okay, well, what would you do? And we kind of went through the battles of, like, I discussed what I thought would be good, and I discussed, like, certain parts. And I'm like, look, I think you guys could do much better. I don't think you guys are going to have much of a problem with reaching your goals. I think you guys are going to do just fine. And they reworked it, I think, after a couple months of radio silence, and it got reworked, and it was way better. So much better. But now I'm wanting to get into the early access test for Subnautica 2. And I don't know if they're going to go for me. I hope they do. But
brand risk.
Brand risk. But I mean, like, I've been very, very upfront with them about anything. I don't really filter that opinion. I just kind of tell them exactly what's going on. So I'm hoping they sit there and go, you know what? Nah, we should probably keep him in here. But the only problem
very
is
reliable in some situations.
Oh yeah, it'd be great. But the only problem is I can't talk about, like, anything. Like, I cannot tell anybody, like, oh yeah, no, the game, I don't know, man, when they had when Carl Weezer showed up halfway through the intro, it was kind of weird. But no, like,
NDA is just too tough.
NDAs suck.
Yeah,
I've had NDAs before. I've definitely signed quite a few, especially when it came down to voiceover work. But, like, it just sucked because you'll sit there and you're like, I want to talk about this so damn bad. Like, I need to talk to anybody about this.
Yeah.
But,
lips sealed against the will.
You gotta keep your mouth shut. Yeah. And you're so upset. Oh yeah. You're so upset because you're just sitting there like, dude, what do I do? Like, what do I do in this situation? Because you want to talk to somebody about it. And usually they'll let you, I think, talk to, as far as I know, usually they'll let you talk to, like, other NDA signed people and be like, what do you think? And that's about it.
Gotcha.
We aren't really, like, allowed anything beyond that, but I mean, at least you got something, right?
Yeah. That's got to be torture, though, especially in such a communication heavy era we live in.
Oh yeah. Well, especially because, when you want to talk about your experiences with a lot of people. So it's like when you're sitting there going, yeah, I want to talk to you. And they're like, oh, tell me about it. And you're like, I can't legally, I legally can't tell you anything at all. Oh, you can tell me. I won't tell anybody. No,
you don't understand.
Because even if I tell you, dog, and you sit there and go, I'm not going to tell anyone, man. All it takes is one person going like, oh, wait, your friend is playing Subnautica 2's early. Oh, wow, that's cool. Did they say anything about it? And you're like, oh, well, don't tell anybody, man. But they added this to the game. And you're like, oh, and that'll get around. And, you know, it really does get around. Because yeah, one person tells one person, tells one person, tells one person, and suddenly 10 people know. And you're like, dude, that's going to exponentially grow. And then everyone knows. Fucking awful. I'm like, I don't want to deal with that, like, at all.
Yeah, understandably. That's gotta be torture. Yeah. I've never played Subnautica. I have extreme thalassophobia, and I tried once and I couldn't leave like the starting sandbank. I think the manatee freaked me out.
Oh, the shallows. Yeah.
I have watched it vicariously through people like Jack and Mark and a couple streamers I follow. I'm sure I've tuned into several of your streams.
More than likely, yeah.
Yeah. Not the game for me, but I love watching it. I very much appreciate the ocean and the horrors of it. And that I saw the trailer earlier today for the second one dropping into the gargantuan Leviathan lair, like straight off the bat, like, huh, that's fun. I'll be sure to watch somebody else play.
They usually will let you kind of start somewhere chill. And that's where they let you get your bearings, you know? When you start off in Subnautica Below Zero, it's like you start in like an area where it's mostly just chill creatures in a small opening in a frozen bank, which, I mean, it's not bad. But the moment you leave that area, it's like, oh, shit. Okay, there's a little bit of hostility being met. I'd say it's not as bad, but because it's a frozen environment, it feels a little bit more like unforgiving. Subnautica 1 got away with a lot just because it was so lush and bright. But below Zero, definitely not. It was a lot more just, oh, this is horrifying. This is awful.
That makes sense.
And Subnautica 2, I think, is going to be more or less of the same. I think they're going to go for the same structure that they had with Subnautica 1, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Below Zero was kind of like an experimental project, I feel. I feel like it wasn't quite the same candor as Subnautica 1.
Yeah.
But, like, we'll have to see.
I'm not sure if I ever saw gameplay of it. I might have seen it and just thought it was the normal game.
Most people thought like it was an expansion to Subnautica 1 or that it was supposed to be Subnautica 2. We didn't know if we were going to get a second Subnautica really after that.
I thought it was DLC.
A lot of people thought it was DLC at first, but it was a full game. And I mean, it was cool. I thought it was a really fun game. But the only thing with Subnautica Below Zero was that it was... I wouldn't say it was bad. It ends in like a cliffhanger that I don't know if they're ever going to announce or like, address. Because in Subnautica Below Zero, basically how the ending works is you rebuild an alien.
Like organically?
Yeah, like you find like a whole laboratory and you eventually you find this alien and you start like learning about stuff. And eventually you end up finding, I think you assemble the alien at the very end. And I think it's like an alien vessel. So it's like organic and like robotic. It's like kind of that. But then you inject a consciousness into it or something like that. And the guy's like, oh, I've been on this planet for like several hundreds or thousands of years. I've been trying to do research and we're done now. I'd like to go home. Also, do you have anywhere to go? And your character goes, no, everything blew up. I literally cannot leave this planet at all. And then the character goes, oh, well, maybe I should just go with the alien. And then the alien takes you to his planet and it ends with you going to the alien planet.
Whoa.
As far as I know, like as far as I remember from the game.
Very strange.
So we're kind of like, well, I don't really know what's gonna happen now. I'd like to know what happens, but I don't know if Subnautica 2 is really going to
address that.
I don't know if they're going to show it off.
That'd be
Like,
interesting.
I don't think they're going to talk about it. I think it's going to be its own thing, especially because now it's going to be multiplayer.
I
It's going
did
to
see
be
that. That looks cool.
Yeah, I think it's up to 4 players. I think is what it was.
I might come back to it if it's multiplayer and people can hold my hand.
I mean, for Subnautica 2, it is going to be multiplayer. I know that there's Subnautica 1 where you can what's it called? You can do a multiplayer mod.
Oh,
I think
okay.
I think it's like maybe 2 players. I don't know if it's 4 players, but there's a mod for Subnautica 1, and I mean that one, it runs really well. I'll say that much. It used to run like pretty hit and miss, but it's way better now. But I mean, it's kind of, it's dependent on a few things, I guess. Like there's certain things that could break it, but I mean, that's like every fucking multiplayer mod.
Yeah. It sounds like it has potential though.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, Subnautica 2 will more than likely be super fun. I mean, I just got to wait until I hear more about it. The worst part is I think I'm probably gonna have to sit there and I may be able to sit there and go, oh yeah, I'm so excited for this game. And then with the NDA, I might be able to say like, yeah, it's gonna be cool. And that's about the most I can say. And everyone's gonna be like, God, can you give us a bit more? And I'm gonna say, nope, which is gonna suck.
Sit with that for a few months.
I'm gonna have to just put up with it and see exactly what goes down. But it's all a matter of time, really. I mean, we'll have to just see what happens, but
that's still a pretty exciting opportunity, though. Good luck.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much hoping that they'll call me back and they'll sit there and be like, yeah, we could talk about, getting you into testing the game, because I've done it before and hopefully it comes out pretty good. But a matter of testing out the game is different. But
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, as far as I know, should be okay. I will say though, like there's a few games I'm looking forward to, but I'm kind of, I don't know, I'm hit or miss with a few of them right now. Like Subnautica 2, I'm obviously looking forward to, and I know that there's Tarkov is reaching its 1.0 release soon. They just showed off like the final level of the game where it's like normally it's like a PvP nightmare zone, but now they're saying like, oh hey, we're gonna do this last level and it's gonna be single player no matter what.
Interesting. I'm not familiar with Tarkov, but that's been around quite a while.
It's been around for quite a while. Yeah, I've been playing the game for quite a few years now. I think I've had the game for 7
that's
or
most
8
of my
years
knowledge
now.
of it is through you.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've had it for like 8 years, I think now. But like,
cool.
The game's gone through some ebbs and flows. But like, the entire point is trying to escape from this war zone, right? So they're adding that. That's going to be the end of the game where they're making it so you can finally leave. But I the one thing I'm kind of like the one game I'm looking forward to, but also like kind of concerned about, because we talked about the Nintendo Switch earlier, was the Nintendo Switch Bloodborne game. What was it? Dusk Bloods? Yeah.
The Dusk Bloods.
The Dusk Bloods. Yeah. How are you feeling on that? Because I personally I like the idea of having another Bloodborne like game. I don't like the idea of it being a Switch exclusive.
The Switch exclusive part, I'm pretty I can see both the irony and the frustration in it. Just that with Sony sitting on Bloodborne forever and choosing not to do anything with it.
Yeah.
And okay, well, we're just going to have Nintendo do it. And they're going to be like, no, wait, don't. And like the Dusk Bloods is going to be a hit. It's going to absolutely blow Bloodborne out of the water. I have no doubt about it. Primarily, because it's a new game. It's going to be at 60 frames per second. It's going to be a more powerful system. I personally like the style of it. I think it shows off a lot of Berserk.
The style's super cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the style a lot. I think personally what I'm worried about is that everyone's going to sit there and be like, oh, here's the handheld performance, and it's going to be just not good. Like the handheld performance is going to suffer after like, oh, if you go to this area, it's going to be dog shit. But everyone's going to sit there and go, well, we're just running it in console, like at home mode. I'm not putting it in desktop mode or sorry, handheld mode. I'm never putting it into handheld. I'm going to put it in desktop mode. Dusk Bloods will just be better. It'll run better there. There will be certain fights where maybe it'll run like shit. I don't know, but I think we gotta wait until there's like actual tests.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna have to let it speak for itself. I definitely believe that it'll be a game that people will want to play at home anyway. So I could see people enjoying like sitting down and putting it on the dock for at home gameplay, but like on the go, I feel most of the time people aren't expecting as much for the Switch on the go. Like it's just like casual entertainment. Like I'll fuck around on Tears of the Kingdom or Pokemon Mystery Dungeon when I'm on the go. But if I want to really like lock in, I'll put the dock on and I'll fire Skyrim up on the TV. So I guess it'll really just have to speak for itself hardware wise.
Yeah, I mean, like I know they said they got the hardware to be in a better circumstance, but it's like I don't know, man. Like I've seen so many places where it's like, oh, we've got it situated. It's all good. It's going to be great. And then they're like, teehee asterisk, only in desk mode or in home mode. And you're like, oh, so it's not actually going to run like that. It's going to be whatever it's subjected to at handheld mode versus where I'm at in the game.
Yeah, I can see
there could be, there could be huge problems like that depending on the area, right?
Yeah, no, totally could be. I think they're very optimistic with a lot of their product placement in their commercials. Everybody gathering around the barbecue and playing the Switch or in public and playing it on park benches. And I think they're very optimistic about the world that we live in. But that's Japan. This is America. Could be different.
Yeah. I mean,
but
I know they're very optimistic with people being like, oh, it's on the go. But at the same time, I feel like a lot of people with the Switch, we're not going to take it to a barbecue. Like I'm not going to take my Switch to a barbecue. I'm not going to take it to a fucking parade. I don't want to get stolen, especially now that it's a $450 price tag. No, I don't want that shit to get stolen.
Toting around a tiny supercomputer now.
Yeah, you basically it's like holding a laptop that someone could steal in the palm of their hands with no real major worry. I don't know. I don't really think I don't like to bring it out. I don't even like bringing my Switch out really all that much.
Yeah, no, I usually
if I'm gonna go on a plane.
Yeah.
Plane, yeah. For TwitchCon, I brought it out, but I'm not the one that's going to be sitting there going like, you know what? Yeah, I'll bring it to Uncle Stan's barbecue and possibly risk someone splattering mustard on it.
Right.
No,
I'm going to take it to the park and set it up and play Smash Bros on a bench.
Yeah, with the local tweakers just sitting there being like, I main Wario, can I join you? And you're like, the fuck? Go away. Who are you?
This is my Fent bench.
And you'll have all the, this is my Fent bench. And all the kids will walk up to you and just be like, can I play? I only main Luigi. Can I join? And you're like, who the fuck
away.
are you? You literally have 5 pounds of Cheeto dust on your fingers. Go away, dude. I'm sorry, but like you need to fuck off. Like right now.
I can see the biggest frustration with the Dusk Buzz being primarily that long-time FromSoft fans, both on the PlayStation, if they started with Armored Core or even Demon Souls on the PlayStation 3, are now at a point where sure they might have gotten a PC to play upscale versions of Dark Souls and Elden Ring. They could have stayed on the PlayStations for that. They now have to shell out to buy a Nintendo system just to play the next FromSoft game. And that really
450 bites. Plus we don't know if they're going to charge $80 for every game. They've said that they're going to make it so that way only certain games are $80, but if you go 450 for the console and maybe you get lucky $60 for Dusk Bloods, right? Which I don't know. They could do anything. They could sit there and say, oh, we're going to charge it for only certain games. And with that being an exclusive, they could 100% charge $80 and say, yeah, they'll fucking pay out the nose for it. Who cares?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Which they could do. So now you're paying $450 plus the $80. You're looking at what, $530 before taxes, give or take. If you're lucky, maybe $500, maybe $510, depending. If you're lucky and they're just going to go for a $50, $60 game, which I don't think they are. I don't think they are.
Yeah, no, every time they say some games will be $80, I'm like, do you mean Nintendo Switch 2 physical copies are going to be $80? Is that what you
Yeah.
mean by some games? Because as far as I've seen, only the digital copies are going to be $10 less, and then Switch games are going to be offered the $30 upgrades, which is insane to me. I mean, I'm still going to get it, but like fucking Breath of the Wild being upscaled to 1080p for $30 is insane to me.
Yeah. You know what the weirdest
frustrating.
part is for me that makes me kind of frustrated is that when it comes down to the games, the physical copies aren't even physical copies of the games.
They're keys, right?
They're keys. They're literally they're basically the equivalent of having like key codes on flash drives. You're being given a special SD like cart pretty much that has, you know, the game cartridge that you put in there, and then it says, oh well, yeah, you can buy the game, you can download the game now. And you're like, what the fuck do you mean I could download the game now?
Yeah, they always have you
bought
download the
game.
package.
Yeah, and you're like, I bought the game. It should just be in the game. But I've heard that it's going to depend on the size of the game. I've heard it's going to depend on very specific like sizes of games and certain versions of the games. So I'm not exactly sure what their full detailing on that is. But the fact that I could sit there and just say, I want to buy this game, even if it's a small game that I buy for $30 or $40, it's an indie game, but Nintendo says, yeah, you can play it on here. If I have to sit there, buy a game, and then say, oh, I'd love to play it right now, I'm on my way to the airport, but I'm not allowed to play the game because I have to download it, I'm going to lose my shit.
Did you get
Like,
enough
what was the-
space? You better get a express micro SD card for $60 more to make sure you have enough space on your game system that you paid for to play the game you paid for.
Yeah, and here's the thing too, is that I'm like, okay, well, if I have this game cartridge, is it going to download it to the cartridge? It's not. And I was like, what? What's the point?
Fucking
What is the
connecting
point?
internet to video games was the biggest mistake in video games.
Like I like multiplayer. I like online games. I think it's great. But the fact that we have hard turned so far right into being like, no, everything is online. Everything's constantly online. It's like, what?
Yeah.
What game was it that ages ago you had to have an online connection
Destiny?
to play the game? Was it Destiny? No. It was, I think it was a Mass Effect game, wasn't it?
Maybe. I do remember some of those games being like that.
Like it was weird because I think it was a Mass Effect game. Might have been Mass Effect 3. It might have been Andromeda. I'm not sure. I feel bad for not knowing. But you had to be online to download a patch that allowed you to play the game. Otherwise, it just didn't work.
That's asinine.
Mind you, this could have been any of the Mass Effect games. It's been literal years, so my memory is not that good with a game series that I'm like kind of meh about. Like Mass Effect, it's good. Don't get me wrong. It just so wasn't mine. Like it's cool, and of course, everyone bitched about the ending of Mass Effect. So I'm like, wow, this really seals the deal of me not wanting to play this game. So that's great. But like, I don't know.
No, that's
like,
that's a super inconvenience for a lot of people, just having an internet connection. I remember back in the day wanting to like play Pokemon with people online once I found out that like in the DS era that you could connect online and trade Pokemon from people across the world. Oh god, yeah. That shit was huge.
That was awesome. I remember the fucking what was it called? It was the centers that you can go to and you could just do random trading with random people online.
Yeah,
like you just get
there'd be events and stuff that you could go to, and they used to sell flash USB Bluetooth drives that you would connect to your computer that would specifically connect to your Nintendo DS, so you could connect on the internet like that, or you could go to those meetups and there'd be like machines that would just give out Mew to anybody that walked within 30 feet and open up their DS.
Yeah, I mean, I had my DS originally, and I didn't really have anybody who would play things online. But when I got to the 3DS, you didn't really need that connector anymore. It would just hook up to your router, and you were good to go.
Yeah.
Super dependent though on what kind of router you had. Some of them were just dog shit. But I played, like, the big thing was, I think for me, is that I got my Fire Emblem Awakening 3DS package from GameStop in 2011 or 2012. And I finally got it, was like, oh, this is great. And then I ended up picking up like Animal Crossing for the 3DS. I ended up getting like some of the Pokemon games for the DS. And It was great. I had a fucking fantastic time and I loved it.
Hell
But
yeah.
like now I'm kind of at this point too where it's like I love Pokemon 2. You know, like not Pokemon 2, but also Pokemon as well. They made a second one, but
more
Pokemon. You got to pay for them. You got to pay for each Pokemon. Every Pokeball is a microtransaction, which is just Pokemon Go.
Yeah,
but
I have such hard feelings about Pokemon Go.
I mean, I like it, but like I don't like to spend a dime on it. I just fucking do everything organically. Yeah, you know, it's fine. But Pokemon Go Fest was kind of cool. I like that. That was a fun event.
I do like the community aspect of it. I just don't like spending money on mobile games. I feel like that's cheap.
I liked going to the event because you know, I went to Pokemon Go Fest. It was fun. It was super cool because you got to go hang out and there was all these like cool structures and all these cool like little things here and there. It was super fun. You got to talk to other people who were huge Pokemon nerds. I met people who were like traveling from other countries and I was like, this is a really cool event to see a bunch of fucking nerds just sit there and go, yeah, I'm here for Pokemon. And you're like, wow, that's great, man. That's cool that we're all these like this kind of breed of loser. That's awesome, man. Like
the money to fly from another country to play fucking Pokemon Go.
Oh yeah, there was. I was surprised because, like I said, Pokemon Go. I'm not really into the community, but like, it's okay. It's pretty cool. But yeah, you know, I'm more invested in like the mainline games. But the way that I met some people there, and there was this nice lady. She was an Asian lady, kind of in her 50s. And she was so sweet. And she goes, oh, yeah, I'm part of a Pokemon Go community group online.
Whoa.
And I was like, really? She's like, yeah, I'm part of like a whole community group. We have a Discord. We all talk. You know, we will like get on our phones and go through Discord there and we'll just catch stuff and talk to each other and hang out and have fun. And we'll do like remote raids and stuff like that. And I was like, that's very sweet. And she's like, yeah, I'm meeting with someone who's a young guy in his 30s that works like an office job in Seattle, and which is where it was at the time. And she's like, yeah, and we're meeting up for the first time. And I was like, that's really cool. Like there are people who have been friends for years playing this game. And I'm like, that's fucking really sweet. Rad. Yeah. I was like, that's very sweet. That's a nice semblance of your community, right? Like that's really cool. And I like that for Pokemon Go, but if we're, I don't like the new Pokemon games.
You don't like Legends?
Legends Arceus?
Yeah. Did you try that one, or are you talking about Scarlet Violet?
I did not like Scarlet and Violet.
That's fair.
I loved the Pokemon in Scarlet and Violet. I thought the generation that like Pokemon design was super fun. I thought it was cool.
I had a lot of
very
problems
unique.
with the game.
I did not like the game.
Yeah.
I did not like the frame rate issues. I thought the story was kind of cool at certain parts, but my love for Pokemon kind of started dying at Sun and Moon. I know that's super weird for a lot of people. Like, I know people who are like, Sun and Moon was the last good game. And I'm like, what? Sun and Moon was trash. What are you talking about? Like, and that's just my opinion. Everyone can disagree with me. I know some people will sit there and die by Sun and Moon. But I don't know. I felt I liked the environmental design of Sun and Moon. Environment design of that game alone, super cool. Some of the character designs, super cool. A lot of the Pokemon I was kind of unenthused by, and the concept and story of it, I was kind of like, well.
It was cute, but it wasn't the strongest generation.
It definitely wasn't.
I felt like that was a good Pokemon game as far as the main lines go from Game Freak.
Yeah.
But Scarlet and Violet, like frame rate issues and the bugs aside, like the characters, the supporting characters were like diverse, but not in like interesting ways. They sort of like force themselves into your friend group. Like, who is it? Arvin.
Nimona doesn't she like literally lock you in the beginning of the game where if she's like, let's be rivals, and you could sit there and just say no and she'll indefinitely keep asking you?
Yep. You can't say no to her. She will not. You can't say no to Nimona.
So weird.
It's so weird. Awful.
There's other characters in the series that have been like, what do you think? Do you want to do this? And your character goes like, if you go like, no, the character will sit there and they'll still advance the story, but it's different dialogue. They'll be like, haha, you're so silly. Why the fuck would you say no to saving the world? And it's like, well, hold on. Okay, well, that's not what I meant. I was saying no to you specifically. Like, and that was fun. I enjoyed that. I really enjoyed having these characters that like no matter how you responded, like, yeah, the story would move forward, but like you got funnier dialogue or interesting stuff, or maybe stuff that you normally wouldn't see. Your friends could all sit there and say, oh, I said yes. And you're like, oh, well, I said no, and they said this. And your friends are like, what? Oh, I kind of want to see that now. And like, you know, it was unique to a degree.
Mm-hmm. The only other game that I can think that does that is 1996's Ocarina of Time. When you meet Princess Zelda as a child and she asks for your help to save the world, if you say no, she will reiterate how important it is and ask you again. If you just keep saying no, she'll keep reiterating how important it is until you say yes. And then the game progresses.
Yeah. Which, I mean, like,
that one makes a bit more sense because you're driven to save Hyrule. This one's a person demanding to be your friend.
Yeah. I think if a random girl at my school was like, we're rivals now, I'd be like, who the fuck are you? I'm eating my tater tots. Go away.
And they bullied
fucking
you,
bastard.
and they kicked your pets with their pets.
I'm gonna pick up my Pomeranian and beat your Pomeranian with it. What the fuck? Hold on.
No,
what?
That's a rabbit. Oh, my Pomeranian's strong against rabbits.
Yeah, you're just like,
No, stop.
What is happening? What is happening here? You can't help but feel so lost.
I know, she is wild and all over the place, endearing in some moments, but not enough for me to remember. Arvin was just an asshole to you the whole time. You get kind of like a feel bad for him because he's like taking care of his sick dog or whatever, but it's like he's an asshole the whole time, so it's kind of like I feel bad for the dog, not you. And then
at that point you feel bad for the animal that's in your care, you know?
Exactly.
It's and like, you suck, but your dog is hungry, so
right. And then Penny's just like, oh, my parents are so rich and famous and they take care of me and they love me and they spend time with me. They just don't understand me though. I have it so much worse than you guys. It's like, you're such a spoiled fucking brat.
a lot of that game can literally just be equated to like, I have mommy or daddy issues, and that's like
really can. Or I
think
both.
Even the end of the game, yeah, or both. And like, I think at the end of the game, they sit there and go like, oh yeah, the end of the story basically for this one character is just the epitome of mommy daddy issues, and you're like, okay,
yeah, depending on your version.
Is it mommy or daddy? And it's like, oh, depending on the version, you have mommy issues or daddy issues, and it's like, I'm not here to downplay anybody who liked Scarlet and Violet. If you like it, you know,
I thought it had its moments.
That's great. You like it. I'm glad for you, man. That's awesome.
Yeah,
I fucking hated it. I've hated Pokemon games.
That's totally fair.
Like since Sun and Moon, I felt Sun and Moon was boring and uninspired, minus like the design of certain characters, and the environment itself had a really great environmental design. But like the vibe of it as a like story and progression system was just whatever. Sword and Shield, like I know a game is bad if I sit there and go, I have to go back and beat it. I bought this game. I paid money. I have to go beat this game, because even if I beat the game, as long as I tell myself I had to beat it, if I ended up enjoying it at the end, I know it's an okay game. It just had its moments where I dropped off. If I beat the game and sit there and go, wow, that fucking sucked, I don't feel any better having beaten this game. Then I know that the game was not for me. Like for me, that was Sun and Moon.
Gotcha.
Couldn't do it. Sword and Shield, I will say this, I didn't feel as screwed over. I had to go back and play it. I had to go back and force myself to play it because unfortunately I ruined it for myself. I will say that much. There was the whole event in Sword and Shield where once the main area opens up, you could do those dynamic raids or whatever they're called, the fucking ones with the geysers, and people would be like, I'm gonna hunt this Pokemon.
Oh, did you over level?
I was like, because they didn't level cap you.
No, they don't. It was such a problem. I had that problem too with the game. I spent maybe 20 minutes in the first wild area, got a party of 6 all to level 20. The rest of the game was a cakewalk. Yeah,
I literally bumped. I just grinded because it was streaming, right? Like people are gonna be like, oh, well, you're gonna hunt things, right? And it's like, well, yeah, I'm gonna hunt things. Stream. If you're watching a stream, 90% of the time, people are not there for the story. They're gonna sit there and be like, are you gonna do something funny, man? Are you gonna exploit the game? Are you gonna break code? Are you gonna do speed run?
To happen.
Yeah, they're waiting for that fucking like, oh wow, this is so funny, this is so cool. Not for, oh, story of character, this is awesome. Like they don't really do that except for very finite games. Like Red Dead 1 or Red Dead 2, sorry, for one being just the campaign. that was one of the few games I've seen where people were like, oh, dude, the campaign's fucking amazing.
Yeah,
but
you'll get those viewers that come just for the story and they just want to experience it with you.
Exactly. But like with Pokemon, I was like, dude, I'm just doing raids. I'm just doing these dynamic raids or whatever they're called, Dyna raids. I'm just doing these over and over and over again. We're getting Pokemon that we've never seen before. I think we ended up getting to level 70 in like 2 days from just fucking around. And I was like, there's no downside to over leveling and grinding out this area. There's no reason. Like if you had put in a level restrictor and said, oh shit, I can only get to level 40 or level 30 or whatever before my Pokemon start disobeying me, I got to go to this next gym. Hey guys, I'm going to take a break from farming this with you. I'll be back in like 30 minutes. And then I would go do the story. Even if you're button mashing A through the dialogue, you're still going to say, well, I got to go do the story. I had to come back. I had only gotten to the third gym before I stopped playing, like second or third gym. And I had to come back and be like, no, you got to finish it, man. Came back, played it all the way through and was like, you know what? Wasn't shit. Wasn't ass. Wasn't terrible. It was okay. It was pretty fun. I think the characters were okay. I think that the fucking twins that had a sword and shield haircut were kind of silly. Yeah. But then again, this is a game for kids. And I think that a lot of kids are going to go, tee-hee-hee, funny man. And that's about it. So I'm like, okay. Yeah. And I'm like, this is a game made for kids. But like, as long as it can kind of keep a baseline entertainment for me, that's fine. I kind of miss when the character designs were all very unique and cool and just were like, oh, wow, Flannery, or oh, wow, Surge, or oh, wow, you know, Draco or whatever his name was. And like all these characters, you're like, oh, they're all fucking so unique. And then, you know, you had the fucking twins where it's like, oh, your hair is just a joke. Like your hair is literally just a joke.
I wasn't a part of Pokemon during the Black and White generation.
Black and White and X and Y are some of my favorites. Diamond and Pearl is also fantastic. Love Diamond and Pearl. I
did enjoy X and Y. I thought it was fun that you got to travel with like buddies throughout the game. I thought that was really special. And I got to be honest, Sword and Shield didn't do it for me.
Sword and Shield, I mean, a lot of people did not like Sword and Shield. That's the thing. I knew a lot of people who were like, I don't know, man, Sword and Shield is just kind of whatever, you know? And I'm like, oh, that's fair. I get it. I like, even I was kind of like, yeah, it's all right. And if I'm saying it's all right, that's really, that's a soft pass.
Yeah. I feel like there was too many times where the DM NPC fucking main character with this Charizard just be coming in like, oh, I'm going to save the day again. And I thought the final fight was cool. Oh, yeah, Leon. He had some overpowered moments, and the final fight with Eternatus was kind of cool. But overall, it's a
cool Pokemon.
Yeah, I just felt like there was a lot that was there was a lot of plot holes for me. There was a lot of like build up for very
little payout.
Very little payout.
Yeah.
And like you rounding back the fucking, if you over leveled, the game's a cakewalk. There's no challenge.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And I mean, like, I'll say this, the game was unfortunately a massive cakewalk for me, which I mean, like, it's whatever. It's not like the end of the world. But I mean, like, for me, I think X and Y was one of those games where it's like X and Y was so fucking good to me. Just because it crossed a lot of things. I'm an adult who sits there and goes, I want to customize my character. Like, I want my character to either look like the dumbest sack of shit ever, or at least be dripped out of his fucking mind.
Yeah.
And X and Y was like, cool Pokemon. I love elk and deer, one of my favorite fucking animals on the goddamn planet.
Hell yeah.
You know, and we're sitting there and you have Xerneas and Yveltal. And it's like, okay,
Xerneas
well, these are
great.
fucking super cool Pokemon, very great designs. I love everything about this. The music was a banger. I think it was like my favorite is still the X and Y boutique theme is still like one of the best. The designs were cool. The Pokemon were very fun looking. The environments were great. Like everything about it. Oh shit. Everything about it was kind of like checking off the right boxes for me. And then, you know, you go into the next game and you're like, well, it's just, I think X and Y was that last game where I'm like, you hit every box. And now I come back and it's like, shit, you're hitting like not even half these boxes to like the new games.
I think we're
like
just
new games. It's like you're hitting like a quarter, maybe a third.
Yeah. I think we just need something new. We've been playing Pokemon for so long. Like the gimmicks are getting a little stale and there hasn't been anything really fresh in a while, which to me, Legends has broken that. I think Legends is a fantastic game. I think Legends should replace the mainline games. I'll say
Legends
it.
as in Legends Arceus?
Legends Arceus, and hopefully Legends Za lives up to that hype. I think the Pokemon catching system in Legends Arceus is phenomenal. I can understand why they took out the battle system because they were trying something new. The game focused so much on just catching Pokemon, though. I had a wonderful time. I actually felt like I was an explorer going out and just catching Pokemon. Wasn't really too concerned with battles, except for against other like Titan-sized Pokemon, which was very fun in itself. There was a lot of great homages to the 4th generation, and it had a very satisfying story.
I know in Arceus you fight Cynthia's predecessor.
Yeah, they summon like a Giratina in the final fight, and that's a tough as balls fight.
And I mean, like, I thought, like, I didn't get to play Arceus, but I watched the playthrough and I watched everything and I got to like see everything, and I'm like, this is a really great game, and it's also got really dark moments. Like, the entire game is basically saying like, oh yeah, people have been damned to live now in an alternate, like, not alternate reality, but like a previous time. They've been sent back in time to go live in this century or this era. And now they're just damned to live there forever. And there's some depth to that. And I'm like, that's cool. And you got like some of the people, maybe kids, are just going to sit there and be like, wow, this is fun. But you're going to have the adults who sit there.
World.
Yeah. And then you're going to have adults who are going to be like, that's really fucking grim, dude. Like, that's super grim. You are going to be a kid who is traveling back in time, no way back forward except to go through the natural progression of time. Your family is going to wonder where you went off to. You're going to be a missing person report, and everyone's going to give up and assume that you died. Like, but in reality, you are now ages in the past, so much so that fucking the only people who are going to know you existed are your parents who assume you're dead, or the fucking archaeologist who digs up your skull. Like,
that's why the game ends after
awful.
You complete your 2-week challenge. That's the story they want to tell. They don't want to tell the other 60 years of you growing old in this alternate timeline. You get the fun story of you catching Arceus in the end, which I will say the Arceus fight in that game was one of the coolest fucking things I've ever experienced in a Pokemon game. It legitimately had me like running around the battlefield, dodging AoEs that were projected on the map, and you had like these nullification like Ultra Balls or something that you would throw at Arceus to weaken him. But there were like certain times where he would do like a map wipe that you had to like dodge roll perfectly through. Like, you had to dodge roll around the map to fight him. It was very Dark Souls-like in many ways, and I thought that was really special for a legendary fight. And I hope we see more of that in Pokemon Z through A, which I guess looking at the commercial, it's our ranking system. You're being ranked in the town, and the toughest fighters are all aiming for A rank. You start at a Z rank, and I from what I can get from it, there's a day-night cycle, which I already have questions about. But during the day, you can catch Pokemon in the parks. During the night, you can fight people in the parks. My biggest concern with that is in the past, Pokemon has locked day and night cycles to IRL day and night cycles. So is this going to be a thing where battles can only happen at night where you're at? I hope it's not the case.
You'll probably still be able to use like, you could still edit the time on your DS or like or your Switch rather. So it's not going to be the biggest crux. Like, it's not going to be like, oh wow, well, I'm kind of fucked. It's going to be okay. I think it's going to be fine. But like, the only time I've ever had a game like a Pokemon game where I have felt like, wow, I am so grossly involved has been like Pokemon Mystery Dungeon for me.
Yeah, I love Pokemon Mystery Dungeon.
Yeah, like Pokemon Mystery Dungeon for me was super cool. I really do need to get into the Switch one that I think we got. I got one for my, for Emma and I at one point.
Super Mystery Dungeon was the last one for the Switch before the redo of Red and Blue Rescue Team.
I think it's Rescue Team DX that I got.
Oh, okay.
I think
that would be the remake of Red and Blue Rescue Team for the Game
Red
Boy
Rescue
Advance.
Team and Blue Rescue Team.
Yeah. I had it at drop day for the Game Boy Advance. I played the shit out of that game when I was, I would have been 11, 12.
I didn't get to play red or blue team, I only got to play. I got to watch my friends play it, which was super cool. But I got to play the second games, which was the DS ones, which was Explorers of Time.
Yeah, that was a fun one. I got to play.
Explorers of Darkness and Time
years ago. It was really fun.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it.
I think I had Explorers of Darkness. I want to say it was that one, but it was such a fun game. I loved it. I had it. I brought my Switch. Not my Switch. My 3DS. I'm interchanging them now. Fuck. I was bringing my 3DS to like class all the time because it came out in 2010. Was it 2010?
That sounds right.
I want to say no. I think it came out. Ooh, well, it was a DS game.
And an advanced game. It was that era of Red Rescue Team was for the Game Boy Advance and Blue Rescue Team was for the Nintendo DS because the DS had just come out, and they frequently do that with Nintendo titles where they'll release a game simultaneously for the old system and the new gen system. So that would have been when the DS dropped.
This with it was oh my god, it was 2008.
Shut up.
Explorers of Darkness and Time was 2008. Wow, so I was playing
17th birthday.
I didn't play it when I was in high school. I know that for a fact. I played that in college. That was in 2012. I played it 4 years after release. Still had a great time.
I played that in middle school.
That was one of those things where it's like, it didn't matter when I played it. That fucking game was awesome.
Yeah, no, it was fantastic. I had the strategy book and everything.
Yeah. I will say this, though, like, ZA, I am not shitting on ZA. But I probably will not play it.
No, that's fair.
Because I like the game, the catching system looks cool. The whole getting around the city looks cool. I just don't like that I'm restrained to the city.
That's totally fair. Like, there's so much more of the map that's there to explore.
Yeah, because when I think of a Pokemon game, it's like you start out in your town. It's a small town. Okay, boom. Wow, an even larger town. Boom. Wow, a town of equal value or even larger. Boom. A city, like that was kind of the natural flow you did, was like these larger towns and things got more complicated and you're like, okay, there's a progression here. And I don't know. I feel kind of stuck when you look at ZA. Like, I know people are going to love ZA and I wish you weren't stuck in the city. If I can go in the city and still like treat that as a hub to upgrade things, but also went out into the world to like go do certain things, maybe clear out dungeons or maybe clear out certain areas, or, like maybe there's a group that's causing chaos in a nearby cave that's causing, the local Pokemon to go insane. And maybe they're, kind of like the Red Gyarados kind of situation, but more for like cave Pokemon. Oh, and you got to put a stop to that while fighting the other Pokemon. Oh, that's cool. Like, that'd be great. But you still get to leave the city, but have a home point. I'd be okay with that. I just feel like when you're saying, yeah, you're in the city, it's like, oh, well, okay. I mean, feels kind of locked, doesn't it? That's me.
For me, in my experience with Pokemon games, getting to those cities has always been super frustrating because when you run down a street, there's maybe the Pokemon Center and a beauty shop and then like 20 closed doors. And I've always been frustrated. I was super frustrated with Scarlet and Violet getting to Iono's city, the girl with the Magneton hair, the VTuber. And you battle her, and when you go past her, there's all these skyscrapers. And it's like, dude, skyscrapers used to, in the old Pokemon games, be full of people. You go to the floor, there'd be jokes, there'd be people who battle you. You can't enter a single goddamn skyscraper in Iono City. And there's a lot that you can't enter in the Academy City either. There's just ramps and bridges that lead around to nowhere. I mean, like, I guess you could explore them with your friends in multiplayer, but
yeah,
a lot of it just seems there for show. And that kind of seems exciting for me. The thought that if it's just going to be in the city, I have hopes that they will flesh out the city buildings.
I didn't fully think about that. But I agree with you. I 100% agree.
That's how I could see it working.
I know they flushed out things like in X and Y. There was a lot of buildings you can go into. Like X and Y, constantly you could just be like, oh, wow, there's a building I can go into. Oh, there's like maybe not like a bunch of floors, but sometimes you'd be like, oh, well, there's an elevator here. Oh, what's in this elevator? Oh, well, you can go to floor 2, floor 5, floor 8, and floor 67. And you're like, what? Okay, cool. Let's travel. Let's take a look. And not every building was going to be explorable. And that's that's fine. It's not like the end of the world.
But that's like the transition period from like the Game Boy games and the Game Boy Advance games where every building was explorable.
Yeah.
Or just about.
Most, like if not most, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I know that when it came down to like gold and silver, I remember when you got to Goldenrod City, that was huge because like there was not every building was explorable, but there was a good chunk, and you were like,
so much to do.
This is kind of cool. There was a lot to do. You had the game corner, you had like the plant shop, you had the bicycle store, you had the radio center, you had the underground pass situations, and then gym. You had the park. Yeah, like the small houses too, and then just outside the town was, like you said, the park where you got to do the bug catching, which I fucking loved that.
I fucking lived for the bug catching.
Like there was so much to do in Goldenrod alone.
Yeah, no, I have very great memories of Crystal version growing up. To this day, Crystal version's still my favorite. But yeah, there was just so much to do in those old games. All the buildings were fully fleshed out and explorable. You didn't need a whole lot of graphics or big engines just to run a good story. And I feel like Pokemon is starting to forget that they're trying to put too much into the graphics and trying to overload the system to be too pretty, and they've kind of lost their way on story. Or maybe I'm just needing something fresh.
No, I mean, I agree with you. I mean, here's the thing. They went from a 2D plane space to a 3D plane space, which having to model that 3D plane space is more complicated because there's so much more you have to worry about. Because the player is going to look
RPG.
Yeah, well, not only that, but a player is going to look everywhere. Like they're going to sit there. Oh, I have 3D environmental cameras. Oh, well, I'm going to go take a look at every face of this. So you got to make sure, okay, well, every side of this looks good, or every side of this looks at least passing. And then you're spending so much time working on just getting each and every single facet to work correctly. You lose so much more time and resource space. Like with Pokemon originally, it was like, oh, well, this is either 2D planar, right? Or it was that kind of false 2D, 3D space that we got with a lot of the DS era Pokemon games, which was a super fucking cool style. I don't need a Pokemon game to be cutting edge graphics. I have known Pokemon to be this, cool, stylized, very unique experience where it felt like a cartoon. It felt like an animated cartoon. It felt fun. It felt whimsical. It did not need to be so realistic, or it did not need to be so like, I mean, it's not even trying to be realistic. It's like, it's trying to go for this weird mix of like realism cartoon. And I don't know. I find it a little like the newest game, right? With, Scarlet and Violet. I don't know what it was. I felt like they were kind of going into this like weird pseudo human puppet model look. There's like, a lot almost like a doll, like a doll, and I didn't like that. I just was like, I don't like the character designs like that. But
yeah, Pokemon's definitely developed a new identity over the years with its design team. I mean, especially for the humans, Ken Sugimori's been at the top of the charts for the like design team since Pokemon Red and Blue back in the 90s. And I mean, back then, Red and Blue, I think, had 11 people that worked on it. And
it was a small form team. Yeah. Because they didn't, I think at the time, they didn't really know if this was going to be a thing that was like going to work out for them. I think they were like, we don't know if you're really going to work on this. Is this game going to be huge? Is it going to be a reason to spend money?
But it's still so timeless because it was a gamble, but it was an indie project of love. And now they're the biggest IP in the world. So the fact that we have gripes about the video games, just to me, it's a little frustrating. It's like, you're the biggest IP in the world. What do you mean you can't afford to like hire better animators or rework the Pokemon, or like why are you cutting corners that you obviously can afford?
I'm not even worried about the affording part. I think that they are. I think there's a time scale to it, obviously, where it's like, hey, you have a certain amount of time to do this shit. Yeah, but I can't help but also feel like, okay, well, they're working on a time scale, but they're also working with like I know that sometimes companies will say, hey, look, we have a bunch of money, but they're going to give you a restricted budget, you know? And I know that could be a huge problem. But I also think that they're worrying about, oh, well, what's going to be too much for kids? What's going to be too much for the budget? What's going to be too much for us to run on the engine? You know, like, how are we going to keep this kind of in check? And I'm not going to lie to you. I kind of wish that we got more of the same with the 3DS. Like that 2D, but still 3D plane fixed angle.
Yeah.
I'd be okay with that. I really would. I wouldn't mind that. And I mean, they kind of already achieved that with, was it, I think they did the same with like Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. Didn't they do that same kind of 3/4 fixed
isometric
angle? Yeah. Like, why didn't they just, like, yeah, they used 3D models, but that game worked really well and it was pretty damn well received from a lot of people. It was not my game. You know, like, I didn't really get to enjoy it. It's not saying it's a bad game. Like, I still saw it and was like, that's a really cool game. I just didn't have the finances at the time to really enjoy it.
For sure.
But I was like, yeah, why don't they just stick with that isometric, like, fixed like, you know, that 3/4 angle and just kind of give us a little bit more of the same that we got with the early, or like the mid to late 3DS era games. Like, that could have been huge. And I don't know why they kind of went for that. Like, they've already shown that you don't need to have a hyper realistic game to be successful. Like, Hollow Knight has a huge cult following, and it looks like someone made papercraft. Like, no disrespect, I love Hollow Knight. I have to say that right now. Hollow Knight's a fucking awesome game.
Yeah, but they're consistent as hell.
Yeah, and they have a style, and they're not going to change their style, even though it's like we're in a modern era of hyperrealism games. They don't need to change that. They've got their style. They've got that whole thing like narrowed down and locked in. They don't got to worry about that. So why is Pokemon, a game that's traditionally never been grounded in realism, ever going to sit in the same like grown-ups table of like, yeah, we're kind of like Call of Duty. We're going for realism. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, I get it.
And to release it in such a sad state. That's my biggest gripe. It was released in such a sad state. Like, this is not the Nintendo seal of approval.
Yeah. No, I mean, we can look at other games too, like Power World, you know? But the difference with them is that they weren't really, like, Power World was never on the Switch.
I don't think so. I thought Power World was just PC.
As far as I know, it's just PC.
Yeah.
Because, like, I know that they didn't want to do PC. The console was not an option, they said, because their game was too beefy. But Power World felt pretty flushed out for what it was, but it has a different environmental feel. It's all about catching monsters and shit, but it's got a different feel than Pokemon. I personally think.
Well, guns, you know, there's like big difference.
Obviously there's guns and there's like, oh, you're making your Pokemon do stuff, right? But people have made fan games where you make your Pokemon do stuff to be productive. I think there's like a survival island game where you are a Pokemon trainer and you get in a shipwreck and you crash on an island and you have to catch Pokemon to make them like help you out by, oh yeah, this one chops trees, so he's going to help me build a house. This one can do this. This one can mine stone. This one can do, like, there's all these different features, but they still made that feel like a cool, unique Pokemon game.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like Power World. It just felt like a cool, unique Pokemon game.
Yeah. No, I love seeing people's different perspectives on like what they think would be great for a Pokemon game. And I love seeing all the mods for like building survival games. I think those are always really special. Getting the Pokemon to help you out. I think my favorite that I've seen was somebody did a mod for Ark, and all the dinosaurs are replaced with like Pokemon sprites, and they help you with your camp. They go out, you can fly on them. It's really cool and really impressive, and it's a shame that Pokemon is so unwilling to spread its wings out and try different avenues to the point that they get in their own way and their products come out in such sorry states. It's really damaged the trust in people have in Pokemon to produce quality games. So a lot of people are on the fence with these new Legends games because like they're trying new stuff, but there's still plenty of problems with it. The stories aren't great. The mechanics can get overcomplicated,
The
And even in
characters
this
can be less than fun.
Yeah, exactly. And even in this new game, they're trying to combine the Pokemon world catching Pokemon and the battle world catching, like, battling trainers, but they still haven't found a way to combine those two outside of these just battle zones. Like,
Yeah.
I guess that it makes a little bit of sense, like, just so a wild Pokemon isn't going to aggro every trainer in the world. But at the same time, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of big directions that Pokemon could go, and it's frustrating that we haven't seen as many as the fans have dreamed of and made on their own.
Like I said, I just wish that we kind of went for that isometric view again. I miss it. I know we could do so fucking much with that.
Yeah,
but
classics were good.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't even have to be fully 2D. It could be that false 3D. Like I liked it, especially because I feel like if you make the same kind of pathways, because they didn't make it so that way, it was just you were stuck to one path. There were multiple pathways at certain points, and there's some spots where it's like, oh, there's a hidden a hidden area over here. Like I got there's a Pokemon that I've been playing recently. I'm trying to remember what it was called. Oh god, I feel like a dumbass. But it was a game I think that I never really got to try all that much.
Diamond, Pearl, Platinum,
it was
Black, White 2.
I think it's Black and White 2.
Oh, okay.
Because I never got to play Black and White 2, right? So I was like, oh, well, I'll play that. And I had I've been having a blast with it. I was like, dude, this is actually so much fun to play. And then I sat there kind of going, well, why have we steered so clear away from this?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, why are we not touching this style anymore? Because there was places where there was multiple places to go. There was multiple pathways. There was tons of cool things you can do. I think there's like a mall that you can end up operating yourself.
Dang.
At one point. And like every day you could talk to someone and they were willing to open up a boutique in your mall. And it was one of those situations where they fed off of the street pass function. So the more you street passed people, the more your shops would level up and give you better items. So it was super heavily like you weren't required to. You could still just grind every fucking day. But if you were hanging out with your friends, your shops would upgrade super fast. So it really encouraged you to play with your friends and get street passes and do all that stuff. But now we're in an era where it's like, we can't. You know, like we can't do street passes anymore. And I wish that we could. I wish there was an option for like a Nintendo mobile app for us to do that, where it's like, oh, pair it with your Switch 2 and you can have it hooked up to your phone, or a little like almost like a Pokewalker device, right? And it's like, yeah, it'll store your friend's friend code data and like the time that it did that. Mm-hmm. And then you just say, oh, well, I'll go home and I'll pair it to that, and your Switch will go, oh, do you want to hook up your Nintendo Switch Mini friend fucking thing that you have on your keychain? Yeah, I would love to. And then it would read the codes and go, oh, your friend, this is their friend. This is your friend's friend code. You met them at this time, transfers that data remotely to your Switch. And it says, oh yeah, it's going to pull from the internet and go, here's your friend's like their system, right? And then like, I know you still have to have access to the internet, but at least at that point, you'd still have access to say, oh, well, I was able to still see my friend's stuff, and at least there's an option, because we don't really have the street pass is not a thing anymore. It fucking sucks.
Really isn't.
And I miss that.
Kind of died once, 2020 rolled around.
Yeah.
And a lot of people saying, yeah, Switch 2 is like Nintendo preparing for the next lockdown.
I mean, considering the measles outbreak that we got, yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know. I wish, I wish that we had a bit more. Like, I wish there was more for us to be able to play with, like we did when we were younger with Nintendo. It's just not an option anymore. Like, it really isn't. It's just not. And I know that that's not the branch they're going down. And that's not that's not what they're trying to do. And they're trying to definitely dedicate more time and, kind of dedicate a space that they want. But, kids are hardly even playing Nintendo games anymore. Like, even young kids are playing Fortnite now.
Mm-hmm. All the kids got
like
PCs or PS5s, and they're all connected to their friends on the internet or strangers.
Well, to be fair, the Switch can also run Fortnite, but it runs like ass. Because I've tried it. I was like, Fortnite's in the shop. Oh, I'll test that out. And, it was so bad. I was like, you're better off not having this. Better off just not even trying. But like, I mean, with Fortnite's always been, I know Fortnite's been pulling kids like crazy because they have, they're pulling their attention span like nuts because it's how my friends and I have described it is like an autistic kid's dream. Because you've got stuff like there's Star Wars characters, you have Master Chief, you got Hatsune Miku, I think there's Naruto. Resident Evil characters, there's Naruto, there's like, you got Godzilla, like there's tons of shit. Venom's in there, like
the N&M concert, and like Keanu Reeves is there.
I know a lot of people were sitting there going like, oh, I fucking hate Fortnite, and I'm like, dude, whatever you say, like I get it. Fortnite is not everyone's cup, right? I get that. But they definitely, locked in an audience. And I'm not very happy because Fortnite didn't intend to do it because they've locked in their own vibe. But they have unfortunately done irreparable damage to the online content sphere of
they really have.
We have this game that's coming out. Oh, what's it like? Oh, it's a live service game and we're going to put out microtransactions every other week. And you're like, dude, I don't want that. Like, right? Like Halo Infinite did that, the campaign was still pay to play, which is fine. But the multiplayer was like, oh yeah, it's free, but you could do all these microtransactions. And I'm like, dude, those fuck do sucked. You mean?
Yeah, I don't want to pay for armor. I want to earn it.
Yeah, let me do the achievements that allow me to get some of this stuff. Master Chief Collection allows you to do it.
It's so hard for me to play Halo anymore.
It's sad. I still play Master Chief Collection on occasion with my friends, and we'll still load up Infinite, but like we never pay. We just don't.
Nah,
because it's just not worth it. Like I love everyone in that voice acting sphere because they're some of my biggest, they're some of my biggest inspirations. Steve Downes is like one of my all times. He's fantastic, and Jeff Steitzer as well. You're very
close to those actors and the characters that they portrayed all these years. It's just the product. Because
you got Steve Downes, who's just Master Chief. Jen Taylor, she plays Cortana. Jeff Steitzer being the fact that he plays the announcer that you hear all the time in multiplayer.
Oh, cool.
Like you have all these different people that were insane. Like Keith David as well. Like people sometimes don't even realize that Keith David was the Arbiter. They just go like,
that's Keith David.
People always do. And like, no shame to Keith David, but like he just does so much where you're like,
you hear him
was
everywhere.
That Keith? Yeah, and you're like, was that Keith David? Like, he wouldn't voice a Halo game, would he? Because you almost don't think he would. But I don't know. I feel like Fortnite. Like now we got they're putting another Star Wars update with Darth Jar Jar in there.
Oh my god!
Have you never heard of Darth Jar Jar?
I've heard of him in passing as a meme, but like I went to the origin of how he was conceived. And it's all based on an interview with George Lucas about how
George R. R. Martin,
George R. R. Martin, Lucas Tolkien,
George R.
It was him saying that Jar Jar was the key to everything working, and so many people took that and ran with it like, center of the universe, Darth Jar Jar. He was talking about the CGI effects in fucking Star Wars 2001. Like, it was if Jar Jar was too goofy, he'd ruin the vibe of the whole movie. It'd be like a cartoon. They ran into the same problem in the 80s when they tried to cast Yoda as the puppet in the third movie. And they were like, if Yoda doesn't look good, people are going to think this is a cartoon. It's going to ruin the Star Wars image. And that's why they shelled out like tens of thousands of dollars on experimental animatronic equipment to get the facial features and the expressions perfect on Yoda. And I don't know, I find that hilarious, as that's the origin of Darth Jar Jar.
Yeah, I mean, like when people always write essays too, where it's like, oh, here's Darth Jar Jar, and you're like, okay, what is your reasoning for saying Darth Jar Jar's the thing? And then they went with like these massive essays of like, well, isn't it weird that every time he did something, he always was trying to like help but disrupted things, and it would always cause problems. And then he ends up becoming a chancellor, or like a representative of the group for the chancellors, and he ends up going super hard with Emperor Palpatine as chancellor, and just was like super like supportive of everything he did.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, you know what? That makes sense.
Everybody thinks he turns into Plagueis or Snoke or something. Or
yeah,
was
and I'm
supposed
like,
to.
yeah, and I'm like, that's like don't get me wrong. I think it's a fucking cool concept. I think it's very funny that people are like, hey, look, this adds up, and you're like, look, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, the math is massing. It's mathing a little bit. Like there's some math here that actually kind of makes sense. Obviously, I don't think it really has any fucking structural ground whatsoever. I think
it's all
that it's more of just like a hee hee ha ha. And I'm like, that, you know what? That's funny. As a funny little theory, that's great, man. Honestly, that's kind of great. But I think it is just that. And I'm glad that Fortnite's kind of embracing that meme. They're kind of like allowing, you know, it's a little tongue in cheek. It's a little silly. They're just they're doing whatever they want, which is great.
Yeah. Speaking of Star Wars, new XCOM style game coming out looks pretty fun.
Oh, that tactic game? What was it called? Like Zero Company?
Oh yeah, Zero Company.
Yeah.
I don't know much about the Star Wars lore or where things went after the 6th episode, frankly. I don't know anything.
Yeah.
I don't remember a thing from episodes 8, 9, or 10, or 7, or whatever.
As far as I know, I don't know any of the story for this game. I just saw it and was like, oh, it's like an XCOM game. That's cool. But it's, as far as I know, it is supposed to be kind of in that weird gray area of an of like the Star Wars timeline of just, it's where they're fighting the droids with the clone army, but I think it's at that era where they're kind of like the government at the time was allowing for splinter groups to operate with like mercenaries and hired hands and stuff like that, which I know at certain parts the Republic was allowed to kind of do that shit. But I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a huge XCOM guy, mostly because the XCOM, it's fun. It's a fun style, but I think it's because of the genre, like the characters in there, where I was like, I don't really give a shit. But if you put Star Wars on there, I'm kind of like, oh, you know what?
It's kind of
cool. I could play that, especially because you got like that really cool, unique, unique droid, like all the droids are in there. You got the unique clone trooper and everything. It's super fucking fun.
Yeah, and a Jedi that's in there.
It was kind of like the same race as Master Plo Koon, I think. I don't remember their race, but
you
never see that race.
Races. Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks pretty cool. I've only ever played the Mario Rabbids XCOM game, but
Emma plays that a lot. She liked that game a lot.
It's really fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that'll be excited to see.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be 2026, but I mean, like, fucking whatever.
Whatever. It'll come out when I'm out.
We're already getting a shit ton of games. Like, I know, like, Hell Is Us is coming out, Hollow Knight's coming out, fucking Tarkov's coming out, everything, especially with Switch 2, everything's coming out. So we're going to have way too much shit to do anyway. So it's probably good that it's going to be 2026.
Yeah, but hope we can save enough by then to shell out for a Joy-Con and a Nintendo. If I might put off my car payments for a few months.
I'll be able to buy a Joy-Con 2 strap, and that's about it.
Yeah.
You guys like the controller? No, but I got the strap, but that's about it, man. That's all I got.
At the end of the day, it's all video games, and we're all better at Elon Musk than video games.
We're all better than Elon Musk. Anyone's better than Elon Musk.
God,
fuck
funny.
that idiot.
Fuck that guy.
But I think we'll call it here. I think that's a good stopping point. We can go ahead and call it here.
Yeah. Yeah, hour and a half. Yeah, that's what we estimated at first, but we just get into things. It's been a bit.
2 hours.
2 hours, man. Might be a two-parter.
It maybe. I mean, we could just make it a fucking hooray comeback thing. I got to trim it down anyways, but we'll see what happens. But good return, and we'll see you all next time. I'm not sure when we'll get back, but or when this episode will even come out. Hopefully soon. But thank you all for coming in. Yeah, it was good catching up, and thank you all for coming out, listening to the podcast. And for anybody who listens to this at work, don't tell your boss about us, and best of luck with everyone.
Yes, please. I'm Rymac, that's Spektre. Thank you and good night.